Welcome to Lesson 11 in our study in the book of Daniel as a part of the prophecy series. We're going to continue today into the prophetic portion of the book of Daniel. Actually, we're going to be working towards the end of that material. And today's lesson, we're going to be focusing on Daniel chapter 10, verse 1, through chapter 11, verse 1, the heavenly messenger. So, as we begin this portion of Scripture in our study today, let's talk about the occasion for this portion. And we see that in Daniel chapter 10, verses 1 through 3. Now, as we look at the Scripture, it's going to point out several things to us. So just take a look at verse 1. In the third year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a word was revealed to Daniel, who was named Belteshazzar. And the word was true, and it was a great conflict. He understood the word and had understanding of the vision. And in those days, I, Daniel, was mourning for 3 weeks. I ate no delicacies, no meat or wine entered my mouth, nor did I anoint myself at all for the full 3 weeks. Okay, so let's take a look at this portion. There's a lot here. So let's look at the, first of all, we're going to see in Daniel chapter 10, verse 1, the timing of this portion. So in the third year of Cyrus's reign, which was 536 BC, a message was revealed to Daniel. So basically, he received another vision, another prophecy in the third year of Cyrus. So again, this is during the Medo-Persian Empire. So if you understand from the historical portions that we saw in the first 6 chapters, you understand that he is now serving the Persian kings. Next thing I want you to notice is that the message was true, but its fulfillment is in the distant future. So basically, he's describing what he is seeing, that it is true, but it's going to be fulfilled in the future. The next thing I want you to see is that Daniel understood this. So Daniel understood that what he was seeing as far as this vision and these prophecies didn't have anything to do with right now in his situation, but were for later. And he understood that. However, he still reacts. So I want you to notice Daniel chapter 10, verse 2, we see that Daniel mourns. And as always, these visions must be overwhelming. So because of the vision, Daniel mourned for 3 full weeks. Because of what he had seen, it affected him so much that he mourned for 3 full weeks. In fact, he didn't just mourn, it reflects that he did something else. So Daniel chapter 10, verse 3 talks about Daniel's fast. So Daniel fasted from desirable food, meat, and wine. Now, you and I, maybe in our modern age today, have heard people talk about the Daniel fast, where you abstain during this fast from delectable food, from things that are appealing to you, and drink nothing but water. That's what Daniel did. He was mourning. He obviously still had to eat, so he ate something, but it wasn't nice food, but then he also drank probably water. Now, Daniel did not care for his outward appearance during the fast. So he didn't pay attention during this time of fasting to making sure that he looked good. 3 full weeks, that's an awful long period of time. Well, that brings us to Daniel chapter 10, verses 4 through 11, the messenger. And this is where it gets very interesting. So I want you to notice again what the text says. Look at verse 4. On the 24th day of the first month, as I was standing on the bank of the great river, that is the Tigris, I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a man clothed in linen, with a belt of fine gold from Ophir around his waist. His body was like beryl, his face like the appearance of lightning, and his eyes like flaming torches, his arms and legs like the gleam of burnished bronze, and the sound of his words like the sound of a multitude. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men who were with me did not see the vision. But a great trembling fell on them, and they fled to hide themselves. So I was left alone and saw this great vision, and no strength was left in me. My radiant appearance was fearfully changed, and I retained no strength. Then I heard the sound of his words, and as I heard the sound of his words, I fell on my face in a deep sleep with my face to the ground. And behold, a hand touched me and set me trembling on my hands and knees. And he said to me, O Daniel, man greatly loved, understand the words that I speak to you. Stand upright, for now I have been sent to you. And when he had spoken this word to me, I stood up trembling. All right, let's take a look at this portion of Scripture. First of all, we're going to notice in Daniel chapter 10, verse 4, the location. So what we see here is this, that Daniel was standing beside the river Tigris. Now, you and I are familiar with the river Euphrates, but there is also another river that is very prominent in the area, and that would be the river Tigris. Now, when we get to Daniel chapter 10, verses 5 through 6, we're going to talk about the appearance of the man. It's going to show us what Daniel saw with regards to this man. So here's what I want you to see. Daniel sees a man clothed in white with a belt of gold. So first thing he sees this man, he's clothed in white, he has a band of gold. There is something a little bit different though. The man had a dazzling, bright appearance. And of course the scripture text goes on to describe why he is so dazzling and so brilliant in his appearance. Notice now when we talk about his voice, the sound of his voice was like the voice of a multitude, like many voices at one time. Now, of course, again, as with always with Daniel, he's going to respond to the visions that he sees. He's going to react. So I want you to notice in Daniel chapter 10, verses 7 through 9, the impact of the vision. What we see here now, as far as Daniel's response is that Daniel alone saw the messenger, but those with him fled in terror. So the text very clearly tells us he saw the messenger, but the people who were with him, probably he had folks who were with him, they didn't see anything. Although it says a fear of dread came upon them and they fled. So obviously they sensed something was different and got out of there. Now, again, notice further reaction from Daniel. Daniel felt his strength leave him and became weak and frail. So, of course, this is causing a reaction from him. He feels his strength leave from him. He's probably scared. And notice now he also reacts physically. Daniel prostrated himself on his face and fell into a deep sleep. So what does he do? He gets on his face and he falls into a deep sleep. Now, the text tells us that there is a response from the messenger to Daniel. So we notice in Daniel chapter 10, verses 10 through 11, the messenger speaks to Daniel. So obviously the messenger is there for Daniel. So notice what happens. The messenger touched Daniel while he was prostrated. So obviously the messenger reaches down and touches Daniel. The messenger told Daniel that he was greatly loved. Now, that seems to be a reoccurring statement that you see in these prophetic visions that Daniel sees, is when this messenger comes, and before the messenger has been Gabriel, he always introduces himself, and he always refers to Daniel as the one greatly loved. Greatly loved by who? Greatly loved by God. Now, he calls Daniel to stand, and that he was sent to him. So he's saying, get on up. I was sent to you. Probably, and we're going to see that in response to Daniel's prayers. So that brings us to Daniel chapter 10, verses 12 through 14, where we see the messenger's explanation. He's going to talk about why he's there. So notice with me what the text says, verse 12. Then he said to me, "Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and humble yourself before your God, your words have been heard, and I have come because of your words. The prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I was there with the kings of Persia, and came to make you understand what will happen to your people in the latter days. For the vision is for the days yet to come." Now, there's some very interesting things here that we're going to need to take a look at. All right, so notice, first of all, Daniel chapter 10, verse 12, the response to Daniel's prayer. So I think this is very interesting. This is the second time that this has been mentioned. Notice what it says: from the first day that Daniel set himself to understand, the messenger was sent. We already saw that in a prior vision. The messenger said, "The moment you began to pray, I was sent." There was an answer. And I think that should be an encouragement to you and I. Psalm 39 talks about that he knows what we're going to speak even before we say them. God already knows. And here we see God responding by sending this messenger. However, there is a problem, and we're going to see that in Daniel chapter 10, verse 13, satanic hindrance. Satan hinders. Now, notice what the text says. The messenger was hindered by the prince of Persia for 21 days. He was hindered by the prince of Persia. Now, you might be saying, someone might say, so you mean one of the Persian kings was hindering this heavenly messenger from coming and helping Daniel and giving him an explanation? No. The prince of Persia refers to a fallen angel or a demon. In fact, if you think about what Paul says in Ephesians chapter 6, where he says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers of the air." This is what we're talking about here, is that behind these kings, behind these Gentile rulers, are demonic influences. And so he was being hindered from coming to Daniel by whoever this demon was who is behind the king of Persia. And he is referred to here as the prince of Persia. And this happened for 21 days, which would be, if you think about it, those 3 weeks that Daniel was mourning. So before, when he was praying, the response was immediate. Here, he had to wait 3 weeks. Part of the reason is that the angel who was sent was hindered by the prince of Persia. Now, the angel says he was able to accomplish his task because he got some help. So the angel Michael came to help the messenger. One of the chief angels, Michael, came to help the messenger. Now, when we get to Daniel chapter 10, verse 14, we're going to see the purpose of the messenger. Why is he doing this? So, notice the messenger has come to help him understand what will happen to Israel in the latter days. Okay, so let's stop. Just notice what it's saying here. These prophecies We've already seen it with the other prophecies from Daniel. It is always with reflection to what's going to happen to a certain group of people. The church. Nope, that's not what it's talking about here. It's talking about Israel. These prophecies have to do with what will happen to Israel in the latter days. So the vision concerns what will take place in the far future. Now, for Daniel, our time would be considered far future. So these are prophecies that are far away from where Daniel is. So notice now we're going to look at Daniel chapter 10, verses 15 through chapter 11, verse 1. We're going to see the prophet strengthened. So let's take a look at the text, verse 15. When he had spoken to me according to these words, I turned my face towards the ground and was mute. And behold, one in the likeness of the children of men touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spoke. I said to him who stood before me, O my Lord, by reason of the vision, pains have come upon me, and I retain no strength. How can my Lord's servant talk with my Lord? For now no strength remains in me, and no breath is left in me. Again, one having the appearance of man touched me and strengthened me. And he said, O man, greatly loved, fear not, peace be with you. Be strong and of good courage. And as he spoke to me, I was strengthened and said, Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. Then he said, Do you know why I have come to you? But now I will return to fight against the prince of Persia. And when I go out, behold, the prince of Greece will come. But I will tell you what is inscribed in the book of truth. There is none who contends by my side against these except Michael, your prince. And as for me, in the first year of Darius the Mede, I stood up to confirm and strengthen him. All right, let's take a look at this portion of Scripture and try to understand what's being said here to Daniel. So again, we're seeing a reaction. Daniel chapter 10, verse 15. Daniel's reaction. And you might be saying, boy, he reacts a lot. Well, if you're getting these kind of visions and you're seeing angelic beings and all of their brilliance and stuff, and you're being told that what you're seeing is with reference to the future of your people, I think you would react too. So notice now, Daniel reacts to the messenger's words by becoming speechless and looking to the ground. So basically it left him speechless. And so he's just kind of looking to the ground. Notice now Daniel chapter 10, verse 16 through 17, Daniel's response. So Daniel was strengthened by an angel who touched his lips. Now, I don't know how that takes place, but obviously the angel touching his lips caused him to be strengthened. Now, Daniel, of course, has to say something, and so Daniel explains that the vision caused him to be overwhelmed with sorrows. So the vision is causing him to react this way. Whatever he is seeing, the tragedy of it. Daniel explains that he cannot talk with the messenger because he has no strength left. So he's saying, this has caused such a reaction in my life, and physically I'm not able to even talk to you. Now, when we get to chapter 10, verse 18 through 19 of Daniel, we see Daniel strengthened. So again, the angels are going to minister to him. So an angel touches and strengthens Daniel again. Simply just the touch from the angel gives strength to Daniel to be able to do what he is told to do. And then notice Daniel is told to be strong, to hang in there, have courage. Now, being strengthened, Daniel requests the messenger to speak to him. So Daniel says, look, I need you to talk to me. Help me to understand. But I want you to notice now when we get to Daniel chapter 10, verse 20 through chapter 11, verse 1, we see the messenger's purpose. And so what I want you to notice now is that the messenger asked Daniel if he could know why he has come. Interesting question. The angel states that he must return to battle against the prince of Persia. So this is some type of spiritual warfare, angelic warfare. This angel is going to continue his battle against the prince of Persia. Not the literal prince, but the demonic forces behind the rulers of the Medo-Persian Empire. And then the angel says something interesting, again, telling us that it isn't just one person here. At some point, the prince of Greece will join the battle. So obviously, at some point, the demonic forces behind the Grecian king will join the battle as well. The messenger states that he will tell him what is noted in the scripture of truth. So that's what he's going to do. He's just going to tell Daniel what is noted in the scripture of truth. And again, he's going to be talking about how long has he been fighting here. The angel has been fighting since the first year of Darius. So since the first year of Darius, which is, of course, when the Babylonian kingdom fell, he's been in conflict with the prince of Persia. He strengthened Darius, who issued a decree for the exiles to return to Israel. So this angel strengthened Darius. Darius is the one who issued the decree that the Jews could go back to Israel and to Jerusalem. So we see this in Ezra chapter 1, verse 1. Notice what the text says. In the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, so that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and also put it in writing. Again, notice 2 Chronicles chapter 36, verse 22. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, so that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom and also put it in writing. So basically, this is why the messenger has come. Now, that brings us to the end of lesson 11. Next week, when we get into lesson 12, this is the final prophetic portion that we're going to see in the book of Daniel. And it's pretty significant. And some of the prophecies, while they are future for Daniel, have already taken place. And we're going to see that when we get into lesson 12.